mankind has ever encountered.
We lost contact, bro. We can't wait any longer.
I promised Mom that I'd bring him home. Let's go, G.
Keep running!
Got to believe in yourself. Oh, Harold, I'm not gonna stop until I find my dad.
Logan, where are you?
Gee, over there.
Let's do this quickly. What a mess. See ya. Damn.
The House of the Dead 3. The House of the Dead 3. December 18th, 1998. The year 2000. And now. Dangerous enemy mankind has ever encountered.
We lost contact, bro. We can't wait any longer.
I promised Mom that I'd bring him home. Let's go, G.
Keep running!
Got to believe in yourself. Oh, Harold, I'm not gonna stop until I find my dad.
Logan, where are you?
Gee, over there.
Let's do this quickly. What a mess. See ya. Damn.
The House of the Dead 3.
Okay, hello everyone and welcome to another randomized gaming live stream. And in today's stream we're following up kind of from the previous stream. Actually, I should probably just turn up the brightness a notch. Just turned up the brightness a notch on House of the Dead. So hello, my name is Random Gamer Riven and welcome to another randomized gaming weekday live stream. And there are going to be a lot of PS3 videos coming over the next few weeks. So there will be some related to all the various games being delisted. I'm going to stream a lot of these. I'll also do full videos as well, because I know not everyone likes me commentating over the stream, so we'll do a mix of stuff. I will probably do runs on this without me commentating over, but there's a good way to do a bit of both, so I can stream and chat over this run and then do a slightly better non-commentated run. Probably a good idea. So this is the PS3 port of House of the Dead 3. We'll be looking at 4 as well, because the game takes around 50 minutes to finish, roughly, depending how well I do. I think it can take up to an hour at max. And this is the third game in the House of the Dead series. Now, the House of the Dead series, I have to admit, I always really enjoyed them, but I do think it's a series of diminishing returns in that the first game was the best, everything else wasn't quite as good. I think they often overused the monsters later on, and they seem to put too many on screen just because they could, not because they should is the words I'd use. And that resulted in some rather unpleasant difficulty spikes in the later games that were much harder than the original game. The original still had tricky bits, but they were tricky for a reason. Some of these later ones seemed very unforgiving, and I still think the best one, probably the best one. This one's probably reasonable. This one's actually pretty good if you can get good at it. This one's not too bad. This one's not too bad to one credit clear. The fourth one in the arcade to one credit clear was absolutely ruthless with the gun shake that took forever to reload.
The House of the Dead 3.
So this does have a few extras over the Wii version. Sadly, they didn't do House of the Dead 2 and they didn't do House of the Dead 1 either. There's speculation Sega lost to the... so I've got to calibrate my move controller here. Now this one is 4x3, the other one is House of the Dead 4 is 16x9. Hello Nico, welcome to the stream. But if you are a PlayStation 3 fan, again, this and House of the Dead 4 are going to both be delisted. This one does have some extra content. What it did have. There were a few features not been unlocked. Yeah, so I forgot because of the account I'm playing. I don't know if the extras unlocked. I think I've also lost the extras on my other account because I transferred hard drives over and I could never transfer any of the save files, so I need to re-unlock. So I'm going to have to play through these in chronological order. So let's go to 3 play. So there's actually, this one actually is 2 modes. You have survival and your time attack. You're going to do survival. Your chapters. Motion controller no 7. Difficulty, to show you the difficult easy. Very easy. I'll leave it on normal. I will. It's been a while since I played this, so come down, come down. Oh yeah, that. I'm going to stick it on max lives because I want to do a full run through. No, the original House of the Dead Nico is only available on the Sega Saturn, and it also got a PC port. But the Sega Saturn port was dreadful as it was done by Tantalus. Now trying to select these with the move controller is X. Now you can unlock free play in this. You have to lose. So it's green and red. So the original. Oh yes, didn't I? Yes, sorry, I didn't read your post correctly, Nico. Yes, House of the Dead 3 did come out on Xbox. It was apparently planned for Dreamcast, but got moved to the Xbox. My apologies there, I misread your initial thing. And then it came out on Wii with the collection House of the Dead 2. Sadly, we never saw House of the Dead 1 again after its original release. Apparently, it was due to appear as an extra in House of the Dead 1, but they didn't have House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast. I wish they had finished it on House of the Dead 2 on Dreamcast, because in which case they might still have had the code. Now, the move controllers aren't ideal for using, but they're better than... Apparently in the arcade you actually had to pump the shot guns down to reload, but that subsequently was taken out for these versions. The reloading system in these later games is a bit quirky. I'm not sure how good it actually was. The general consensus was it was better when your reload system is to shoot outside the screen. Some of these enemies do come at you very quickly in these later. The later House of the Dead are a lot more punishing than the earlier ones. The earlier ones give you enough time to react to some of these ones. The problem with the Xbox version was there was never official light guns, there was only like third-party ones, and they weren't actually that good. So you get the most shots for blasting them in the head. Take them out, so blood those two.
Stay out of my way.
Really, a lot of these light guns are a bit of a memory game. You've got to remember exactly where.
How many of these things are there?
Okay, thanks for letting me know, Nico. Yeah, I did notice this one's got a bit louder. Resume game.
We found it. Damn.
I must admit, I'm not a fan of House of the Dead Overkill because it wasn't made by the original developers and the gameplay wasn't quite up there with the other games, but I appreciate the story was slightly over the top. So this one actually has a prequel section there. That's a prequel section, and then we get all the flashbacks and the actual main game.
I will gladly step into forbidden territory if it will save your life.
It's been 2 weeks since we lost contact with Rogan. We can't.
So House of the Dead was known for having lots of different routes. Sadly, the later games cut back on the routes compared to the original game, which had lots of... But here we go with...
What?
Yeah, because I seem to remember Overkill being very easy, so... Yeah, I wasn't, being a long-term fan of the series, I wasn't a fan of Overkill in the slightest, I have to admit.
Let's keep going.
This one is a lot more unforgiving than 1 and 2.
Hey, we're just passing through.
You'd also add aim for the heads, you deal with them quicker that way.
Show up again. Keep your eyes open.
And there's bonus 1 up.
Gee, above you. Well, he certainly is persistent. Gee, there.
Got it. Lisa, slide under it. Broken. You all right, Lisa?
Yeah, just a little shaken up.
Okay, let's do the DB. Let's do them in left to right order. Yeah, I'm more of a fan of the earlier arcade ones because they're a bit tougher.
Yeah. Who knows how many times your father and I survived by the skin of our teeth. What do you think your father did for a living?
Look, Daniel. It's the key. This.
But then I'm an old school arcade player, so this was the type of bread and butter game I would be playing.
You don't need to fear anything anymore, Daniel. Not even death.
Whereas the volume per game does change. This one is much a bit louder. But House of the Dead 1, 2, and 3, and 4 require a lot more skill and concentration. But they get progressively harder, and that's the problem. 4 is too
Threat
difficult.
to humanity itself. Your father and I put a stop to it, though.
What the key to remember is that only one of the enemies will ever be attacking you, generally. And you have to target the one actually approaching you.
It's a dead end. Let's go down.
I just want to get through here.
Ah! Lisa, back me up.
I failed that bonus section again. See, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't a fan of the B-movie look from the other games because it broke with the feel of the previous games. But I can appreciate why some people liked it, but for me as a series fan, because a lot of the series fans kind of didn't like Overkill, it just... And I don't believe Overkill did that well in the end as a result.
Out of my way.
Okay, let's see if we can actually get...
Good job.
There you go, finally got a rescue bonus.
Terrible.
Yeah, stuff like that's bad, where I was shooting constantly and not taking them all out. And that's something that you wouldn't get in the earlier House of the Dead.
What's that smell? Oh man!
What is this place? Some sort of feeding ground?
Yes, you probably were the target audience for Overkill, because it was interesting. Overkill generally didn't go down well with fans, but I do know there are a few people that liked it who generally weren't fans of the series until that point, so... Okay, at that point, if you miss with a shot, you're going to take a damage. So I need to make sure every shot needs to count for that to win. So yeah, there are some issues like that. You don't get any chance for error.
Had enough yet?
The original House of the Dead did have some of that, but there was generally slight chance to error. The reloading, I think, in the third game was a bit slower compared to the first and the second with these shoot outside the screen.
So, you and my father father stopped Curien's plans, right?
Maybe someone's trying to continue his legacy.
There is a bit of weirdness with the official House of the Dead storyline, because clearly House of the Dead 3 was intended to be the final game in the series because it's set so much later. As a result, the 4 and Scarlet Dawn are set earlier, and that conflicts slightly with the storyline.
You getting along with Rogan?
I don't know. My father always put work ahead of his family. I barely have any memories of him spending time with Mom and me.
Ouch. That's pretty harsh.
Well, what do you expect? He's always making us worry. I should slap him upside the head for Mom.
Watch out for the tentacles!
It's like a jungle in here.
Yes, I'm well familiar with that game. I still have an Windows 98 and XP PC, so access to them. And yeah, it's very fun trying to get some of the other games up and running.
These things are getting on my nerves.
Finally, we're out. But what the hell is that thing?
Watch out!
Some people often say it's a game, so you can if you often installing games on a PC is a game in itself.
was any good at gardening. It looks like it'll open if we shoot it.
I've been waiting for this time to come.
Ah! Lisa, back me up.
Phew, we got out in one piece.
Worried about Rogan?
Yeah, I don't think it was choppy. I think there was an issue with the stream was not picking up the frame rate correctly. So, because for me it ran smooth, but I think the later half of the stream kind of addressed the issue, but I wasn't entirely sure. I think there was a weirdness within the stream in 100 Swords. It runs fine on Windows 7, but some of those PC games, when you try and stream them, I think because of how the streaming software works, can be a bit funky.
The wheel of fate.
The Magician and the Wheel of the Fate. So we've already dealt with the Magician, but we've never met the Wheel of Fate.
Lisa, wait!
Unauthorized personnel detected.
This isn't
Security
good.
systems activated.
Lisa,
Priority level 2
this way.
areas will be locked down.
Gee, over there.
Not even Rogan was this persistent.
So this stage is a bit annoying because we have the same boss back again. It's really annoying. Yeah, there aren't many patches for 100 Swords. You basically, for me, it installs okay on Windows 7, but I don't know about Windows 10. I assume it probably breaks horribly. A lot of games that run on Windows 7 don't run on Windows 10, so... Now this is definitely, I should actually say a bit about House of the Dead 3. I think this isn't my favourite game in the series, but it's enjoyable enough. If I'm being honest, I prefer House of the Dead 4, but I think that House of the Dead 3 is a betterly balanced game.
Looks like we got away.
This stage is a bit annoying because we fight the same boss again, so but visually this is pretty good. I mean, it does showing its age a bit. This was, I think this was Nomi Plus, so it's actually, this was apparently planned to be on Dreamcast, but was suggested it was one of the games that was cancelled when Sega pulled the plug. I have to admit there are a lot of old school PC games I'd like to play that we just can't get running on the capture hardware, so... And there are a lot of games that don't have fan patches either, so... The downside with this is the move trigger I've got does sometimes jam. I've got the sort of plastic gun casing accessory you can use, but it's definitely jams a bit occasionally.
Back there again.
Lisa, back me up.
Oh, that was an annoying one. I should have got that one.
Looks like he's going all out. Let's hurry.
Just back off already.
And we finally got the police. The zombie monster police guard.
No, she means it.
Yeah, you're probably right there about the resolution change on some of those older games. But yeah, you're right. I've seen a few people use the OSC for PCs, and it's worked very well.
Don't sweat it, kid.
I know. How come I'm so stubborn in front of my dad?
Yeah, apparently all the late life Dreamcast games sort of cancelled. So apparently Gun Valkyrie was literally finished. But basically a lot of the games moved to Xbox were originally planned for Dreamcast.
We need to find a way to go faster. knew you were alive.
Lisa, I figured G would bring you here. Wait, G!
Pleased to meet you, Mr. G. My name is Daniel Curien. Dr. Curien was my father. I believe you knew him well.
It may be hard to believe, but he's the one who saved my life. He's the only one who can prevent disaster. I have to go!
You can't. You're hurt. I'll go. Gee, take care of Dad for me.
All right. I leave everything in your hands. Remember, Lisa, believe in yourself. No matter
Yeah,
what.
I've not spent as much time with Gun Valkyrie as I should do, but I should.
Lisa, I think I finally understand what that really means now.
The accursed wheel of fate. Just wait. Get back. I'm not here to fight you.
What is it that they're trying to protect?
And here we go with the start again.
This is the last thing my father left behind. I've spent the last 19 years watching this evil grow. I know it's dangerous. I've always known it. But the wheel of fate must be broken.
But how?
I managed to hack the program. That should give us the opening we need.
I just wanted to ask, are you sure you want to fight your own father?
The future belongs to the people who are alive here and now. I'm prepared to live the rest of my life bearing the burden of my father's crime.
Okay, we just gotta believe in ourselves.
I am Curien. I shall destroy everything and resurrect everything.
Yeah, I do need to sit and play through Gun Valkyrie. That's one game I will. So here we go with the resuscitated Curien from the original game. Okay, apologies, wasn't reading what you were saying there, Nike. I was concentrating on the...
This is our future. We'll handle it ourselves. You've got bigger problems to worry about.
You're not my father!
Yeah, the background in that section is really impressive, so... Yeah, I do need to play Gun Valkyrie. I will get round to it. I've got it, and I've played it a little bit, but I've never spent that much time to it. And yeah, the controls are a bit troublesome.
I began walking toward the future.
Hey, let's go! They're waiting for us.
We'll take a break there for a second. So which ending did I get? This game has 4 endings. There we go.
Thanks for taking care of Lisa.
Actually, she did a good job taking care of herself. But Rogan, do you think this will change anything?
It's their future. Maybe nothing will change. Maybe everything will be different. We've done our part. The rest is up to them. To believe in themselves and walk their own paths.
Believe in themselves, huh? Lisa's starting to sound a lot like you.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that your idea of a joke? I guess things are already starting to change.
What's wrong?
Lisa, could you wait for a second? This place was my whole life. Goodbye, Father. I won't let your efforts go to waste. If humans go down the wrong path again, I'll come back to this place. Sorry. Let's go.
That was the average ending. You can get the bad ending where he goes... But I think the very best ending, you see the third conspirator they added in for that game. "25 minutes, that's not a long game to play through. Okay, thank you to everyone who's liking the stream so far. Very much appreciated. Glad you're all enjoying this look at House of the Dead 3 on the PS3. I'll be jumping into House of the Dead 4 and doing House of the Dead 4 special. I'll just be taking a brief moment to actually just chat for a bit and just... So overall, this is actually, as a port goes, there you go. You actually unlock stuff in this, which is quite nice. I remember the days when most of this stuff used to be you get hidden characters and everything rather than it being DLC. Just take a look at the extra content. I think this is the trailers and stuff. Although I won't watch all of that because I don't know where the music comes from, and I've discovered recently often trailers can be copyright music. Now, there was actually a PlayStation Home item in this. You got the arcade cabinets in place. If you did this, you got the arcade cabinets for PlayStation Home. Although they got it got shut down pretty quickly. But yes, you could. So there are a couple of extras. You can unlock free play as well. So although this is basically you get ranked play with online ranking. I think this is probably all shut down now, the ranked mode. But if I do free play, so you can unlock credits free play, but you have to. I think it's something silly like literally have max lives and then have max credits and run out Yeah, the first game's quite. The third game's quite short, which is so it's a decent length. It's not too long. I think there are one or two. I have a few gripes with this one, but this is similar to the original game in format. I think the downside is this one doesn't have the multi-branching routes the original had. So you get the odd choice, but not much. You get to decide which order you do the bosses in, and like at the start. But there isn't that much in the way of route selection. The original had all sorts of routes you could go. Each level had like 5 or 6 branching different paths, and that to me was House of the Dead. Having very linear paths is not House of the Dead. So this one felt a bit like it was done a little bit on the cheap. Yeah, a couple of pointers I know for this one from my years of experience playing House of the Dead. Always target the enemy attacking you. I probably shouldn't have been rapid firing as much, although I've got the plastic casing accessory. Because it adds a trigger button, I think it slows down the shot speed. I think you're slightly quicker on the move, as I found, if you actually take just as the move controller on its own, but this just feels nicer. Certainly when you're playing long sections. Overall, I think this is a very solid port. I mean, you kind of want a short length for this because it's an arcade game, so you don't want people playing for too long in the arcade. What you want is the right balance of being able to get good at the game and not to punish the player. So it has been a while since I played this, so I'm a little bit rusty. House of the Dead 3 I managed to get quite good at. So I finished, so to give you an example of how the type of House of the Dead player I am, I finished Virtual Cop 1 and 2 on 1 credit. I finished House of the Dead 1 without losing a life. I finished House of the Dead 2 on 1 credit. I've never finished House of the Dead 2 and 3 on 1 credit, possibly because there haven't been decent light guns, but possibly 3 and 4. So 1 I finished without losing, 2 I've done on 1 credit. 3 I've never done on 1 credit. I think possibly because, as I said, there's not been a really good home port. This is by far the best, but the move controller isn't ideal, and the joypad is nowhere near good enough. Ah, you're talking about Gun Valkyrie. Yeah, I do need to sit. I said I need to spend some time with that on Xbox and there's a few of the other SEGA games, because most of them. So House of the Dead 3 on Xbox, Gun Valkyrie, and a few other games were apparently in the works for Dreamcast when they all got cancelled. Although whether the Dreamcast port would have looked as good as this, I'm not sure, because the Dreamcast version, I think they may have had to slightly reduce a few of the assets if they'd done it on Dreamcast. Now, House of the Dead 3 is a solid length. House of the Dead 4 is much, much longer. House of the Dead 4 is too long. In fact, it's so long, it's probably going to be quite tricky. But yes, if you do have a PSN, so this works with the controller and the PlayStation Move, unlike the Mad Dog McCree that I showed you last Tuesday night, which only supports the PlayStation Move. This does support joypad, as does House of the Dead 4. So even if you don't have a Move controller, you can still play with the joypad. So if you fancy an arcade experience, then great. In fact, I've been really enjoying playing these with the Moves, because these are all really good classic arcade games. And I am an arcade gamer myself. I enjoy arcade games. I mean, I basically a passion for arcade games, RPGs, and I've always been generally a fan of most games bar sports titles. So I like arcade racing, but I've never been a fan of realistic racing that much. When it comes to sports, the one thing to switch off. Visual novels as well, I'm not a huge fan of either. If I want a story, I'll read a book. If I want a story with visuals, I'll read a graphics novel. So yes, we've got a bit of the extra content there. So there is a few bits. I said there's a PlayStation Home unlock. There's you can unlock free play and you can unlock the hard difficulty. But there's not a huge amount of unlocks in this, but there's a few nice subtle touches. Okay, so this is House of the Dead 3. I hope you're all enjoying this stream, guys. I will jump on to House of the Dead 4, which not only does it contain the arcade version of House of the Dead 4, it also contains House of the Dead 4 Special, which is a really interesting amusement attraction version. So House of the Dead Special was a supplementary ride type thing. Oh, you've actually seen the Gun Valkyrie Dreamcast trailers. From what I remember being told from some of the SEGA guys I knew, Gun Valkyrie was virtually finished on Dreamcast when it was moved to Xbox. So I actually think the final Dreamcast version was apparently very similar to the final Xbox version from what I've been told, because the Xbox, it was quite easy to port Dreamcast games to, because the Dreamcast was a machine that really never saw what end life games would look like on it because it got killed off so early. But I do think it may have struggled against the PS2, Xbox and GameCube hardware wise, because I think the Dreamcast came out too early and was underpowered in comparison to the other hardware. Oh, and I did download Rain, by the way, Nico. I finally managed to get hold of that. That is really, really good, Rain. That is probably like Another World crossed with a bit of Ico. So it's an interesting concept. Basically, you're kids and you enter this world and you're being chased by monsters. And basically, if you're standing in the rain, you can be seen. But if you're out away from the rain, you can't be seen, so you're like only leaving like footprints and stuff. It's really quite interesting. So here we go, House of the Dead 4, as we've had a look at House of the Dead 3. I believe both these games are actually 60 frames a second, actually. They really were very nice ports, I will admit. And I would highly recommend them. If you basically have a PS3 and you like this type of game, do grab them now, because come July the 2nd, they're going to be unobtainable.
Exactly how it happened 3 years ago. The battle had started again.
It's coming!
There is no way to avoid your fate, James.
Kate, this is it. Give it all you got!
The House of the Dead 4.
Hi there, Arika. You've just missed House of the Dead 3, but we're on to House of the Dead 4 now. Glad to see you guys enjoying it. So we've done House of the Dead 3, we've played through that, and now we're jumping into House of the Dead 4. We've done a playthrough. So this is the fourth game. As mentioned, this is currently the only console port. Now, House of the Dead 1 is getting a remake, but I must admit the remake is filling me with sad faces, because it's developed by the same studio responsible for the awful Panzer Dragoon remake, which we covered a while back in one of the streams, and the Panzer Dragoon remake was blooming awful. Now, that's an interesting question. Will we see House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn? So interestingly, I saw that Sega's arcade division, now Sega have sold off their arcade division, but I assume Sega have kept all the licenses for the games. Now, will Scarlet Dawn be ported? I hope so. Is it going to be? I can't say. But they did just do an arcade version of Scarlet Dawn, and I'm wondering... So as you see, we've got extra content, as with the House of the Dead 3 port. Sega did these 2 ports a couple of months, about 2 months apart. I'm surprised there wasn't a disc collection, actually, a retail version of both games. So the minute I can't, because I've loaded up, on a fresh account, I don't have, so I will just whack the lives out so we can do a full run through. I'm not fussed about trying to do a flawless run. This one is incredibly hard to flawless. This one is ridiculously hard to flawless. I'd really like to see Scarlet Dawn, but I can't say for certain if we'll ever see it, so it's going to be very hit and miss. I hope so. I really would like to see Scarlet Dawn. And if Sega's watching, I'd like to see House of the Dead 1, 2, 3, 4 and Scarlet Dawn all in a collection with 4 special. They have just done an attraction version of Scarlet Dawn, so maybe now they've done that version, we might get home port. I wouldn't know. I played the PC Google Stadia version. It was... And Stadia was fine. The game was terrible. It gets so much wrong with Pan's Dragoon. The level design for some of the stages is wrong. It feels like a remake made by people who haven't played the original. Enemy patterns are wrong. It's easy. Enemies are missing attacks, so it's... The only thing I can say, if you never played Pan's Dragoon before, then it's alright. But like, the intro looks dreadful compared to the original CG one. It feels like it was just made by charlatans and fraudsters. It's really sad that Sega have been working with those guys who just do poor quality jobs. Yes, Pan's Dragoon's Wheels coming out as well, although from what I understand, the remake, although it did okay on Switch, because it got quite a lot of negative press, flopped on pretty much everything else from what I understand. The player list was quite small, so it'll be interesting to see how well the remake, the Zweel, does. I'm not holding out much hope for it. Unless Sega steps in, this is another 3D Ages case. So here we go with the machine gun version of House of the Dead 4.
Our backup hasn't arrived yet.
Whereas House of the Dead 3 had shotguns, this has machine guns as the selling point. Unfortunately, in the arcade, it meant it was just impossible to reload because you had to shake them for so long to reload.
What the heck is going on outside?
What's that sound? Our backup?
Yes, a physical edition collection would be fantastic. And they could probably do it now because House of the Dead 1's got enough emulated. They could now emulate House of the Dead 1 correctly, so... I should actually cover House of the Dead 1 as well. Yes, I would love it if it came with the original, because then I might actually have a reason to buy it, but it won't, sadly.
What the heck are these things?
Oh. So I'm already going to have to recalibrate this thing.
This way leads to the elevator hall.
Okay, I forget I have to shake the guns with the Move controller, which is horrible. The joypad, you press the button, so it's actually easier to play with the joypad. I'll quickly restart because that was a dreadful start. Yes, sadly it's said to be true. I think there was... I think they destroyed a lot of it. They didn't lose it, they destroyed it. And sadly they were going to port House of the Dead 1 with House of the Dead 2 on the Dreamcast, but they ran out of time to do it. If they had done that, we would still have House of the Dead 1, but they didn't. So now they're going to have to use emulators, basically. Although you can actually get a version of the source code from completed games, but you basically have to recompile it and deconstruct it and decompile it, and then you're never going to get the original source code. You'll get a new version of the source code and the assets.
These are all the weapons I can find.
What the heck are they doing here? Incoming!
What the heck are these things? This way leads to the elevator hall.
Shake your gun! I can't believe this.
What the heck is happening on the surface? I think the door on the right leads to the elevator. What is that? I've never seen anything like it.
It's a PDA developed by AMS. Comes in handy. Path splits up ahead.
Yeah, sadly the Saturn's port of House of the Dead 1 is pretty terrible, because that was again also rushed. This one wears out your hands a lot more. I forgot, if you have the joypad you don't have to shake it. If you have the Move you have to shake it. Just like the arcade version.
This is not normal. Like this the last time we saw
much destruction. The elevator hall is just beyond this door.
This way's blocked.
We gotta find another way out.
Yes, I was as well pretty devastated with how bad the House of the Dead 1 port was. It was because it was done by Delisted and they just did a very cheap and cheerful job. The developer they gave it to, SEGA, gave them about 3 months to do it, and they were known for doing things cheaply but not very well.
It's all happening again. It's much worse this time.
It's coming! Can't be happening.
It's too strong.
This way!
Where do you think you're going?
This is exactly how it happened 3 years ago. The battle is starting again.
Yes, you're spot on there, Nico.
I guess you haven't quite lost your touch.
Got to concentrate a little harder.
I believe it's for getting headshots you get the higher ranks for House of the Dead.
Is this your first time here?
Yeah, there's something I need to look into. I can't shake the feeling that things didn't end like we thought 3 years ago.
I'll help however I can, James. It's an honor to work with you. Hard to believe we're underground, huh? There's also a complex series of sewers down here. What's happening?
Got a bad feeling about this. What the heck is going on outside?
There's an area under construction up ahead. We'll be able to get to the surface through there.
Looks like we're gonna have company.
Oh, give me a break.
Reload! Can't take them all on at once.
Okay, just gonna take a quick moment break there just to rest my hand. These days, as you get a bit older, it does wear out your hands playing these type of games. And since I've already done a quick shooting section, I thought I'd just quick chat with you guys on stream. Appreciate the likes, everyone. Very much thank you for hitting the like button. Glad to see you're all enjoying it. So yes, this is the start House Dead 4. House Dead 4 introduced a grenade feature, which basically I would advise you save the grenades for the bosses. That's my main advice. You need them because the bosses in this are a little bit broken and very merciless at doing you damage. There are a few sections where basically if you don't have grenades, they're next to impossible to block the damage. This game was clearly designed as a bit of a credit stealer, and unfortunately it shows. Okay, let's get back on with the show then. And shaking the controller is anything but ideal as well with the move.
Let's look for the way out.
But the weird slime zombies do come from the original game. I call it almost like the Chewbacca zombie, I thought.
Like a rat in a maze.
Reload.
Yeah, I really hate the reload function in this one.
It's not gonna be
Absolutely loathe it.
I'm actually afraid of heights. Tired of getting wet.
reload.
Oh, this smell is horrible.
Reload.
We go in through here.
Reload.
Can't be happening.
We are.
Okay, the last day to buy digital games for the PS3, I believe, you might want to double check it, Ariko, but it is July the 2nd. However, I would not advise you wait till July the 2nd. Grab it in April, grab it in May, grab it in June, early June. The store is very unstable. It does crash a lot. It could sometimes take, if it crashes during a purchase, it took me, I had to check, I had one where it crashed midway through a purchase. So when I checked, so sometimes you'll get an error message, like when you try to buy something, you'll just say an error has occurred. A lot of that's due to the fact the store is basically overloaded with staff. But I had one when I tried to buy Rain, the game, it crashed midway through the transaction. When I checked, it had gone through on the transaction page, but it wasn't showing up in my download list, and I couldn't download it from the store, so I had to wait. I left it overnight. I think the store is like a check for transactions, and then it updated my download list in my offline on the account about a day later, and then I could download it. But do try and get it as soon as possible. The store is a bit unstable. What I recommend, if you're buying anything in the store, go in, download, go in, find the game you want, add it to your cart, exit the store, go back into the store, and then buy it straight after. And once you bought it, exit out the store again. Basically, you want to be in the store as little as possible. But if you're browsing, because the store has a bit of a memory leak on PS3, I mean, it has a memory leak on PS4. If you use it for too long, it will crash. So basically, add things to cart, exit out, go back in. That way you'll avoid most of the crashes, but it can be a little bit unstable. So if it is a bit unstable, just be a bit wary. If it's really busy, it'll be really slow, so just be a bit mindful of that. I think they may have increased the bandwidth a little because so many people are downloading stuff at the minute for it. But yeah, I would recommend you grab anything by May in case you have any problems.
Classified information. Might be able to find some information in here.
I doubt very much there will be any PS3 sales because Sony don't want to run them. They'd have to discount everything. I don't think they're going to run anything. The best you can hope for is they give stuff away free via PSN or something. But even then, I'm a bit doubtful about that. So yeah, as with the previous games, you get the best score if you shoot the zombies in the head region. And as you can see, I'm losing a lot more lives in this than House of the Dead 3 because this game really is a cranked up difficulty, which is why it wasn't very popular in the arcades. As a home game, it's alright. But in the arcades, it was such a credit muncher, no one played it because having to wiggle the guns, and you have to wiggle them loads. This was not very popular. Yeah, there's loads of games of DLC and
This is straight out of a movie I saw.
One of the problems with this is actually the fact it's difficult to tell when you've got to reload because you have so many bullets. It's not like the original House of the Dead where you have 6 rounds, the same with the second and third game. You always know, you can count how many shots. So there's always just like, you have to really keep your eye on the getting a lot more perfect. As you can see there, in order to get A and S rank, you literally have to perfect every enemy, which is a little bit unfair in this.
What will happen to the world if humans continue to breed? Don't you see? Humans have
I also think it's based on how many lives you lose as well.
destruction.
I tend to get DLC for games if I like the game, so but even then there are certain DLCs, so just skins and stuff I'm not that popular on. Characters, yes. Cars, maybe, depends how many cars the game has. Sometimes I'll buy the extra cars. Definitely bonus tracks, so there are quite a few games like Motorstorm has additional tracks and stuff.
Let's go.
Well, at least we're getting a warm welcome.
Just take another quick break there, just to rest my hand for a second. Because I do like a bunch of just functionally 20-minute long games in slower frame rates and lots of missing detail. Yes, that describes the Sega Saturn launch pretty much perfect. The only thing you should say rushed. The only thing you should say a bunch of rushed games. Taking a quick, yeah, which you get a bit older, especially when you're wearing these type of games. Do wear a bit on your hands, so you just have to take a quick break just to freshen up. It's always something I recommend to help keep yourself in peak performance. Yes, Naiko, yes they do. Japanese RPGs they often have just naffy costumes and stuff. So I was actually looking at PSP, and there's a few games on the PSP. Generally, I don't like costumes. I think they should just be DLC. They should be in-game unlocks. But when it comes to characters, yes. And a couple of games, so I've picked up stage and stuff, so there are a lot of games. I will do lists on the blog about stuff that we're going to be covering, so I will do a list of all the games I can find the PSP DLC for and things like that. So I know Valkyrie Chronicles 2, oh, I didn't see the Valkyrie Chronicles 2 DLC actually when I was checking. I wonder if that's been delisted. Yes, it would have been nice if they didn't make a Motorstorm collection. That would have probably been a good idea with the DLC included. Admittedly, I made the mistake of downloading. They made the Uncharted DLC 3 when they turned off all the servers for them. Obviously, they did that when the collection released. But annoyingly, that added in about 600 items of what I'd best describe as junk into my PSN list. So I wasn't too happy about that. Valkyrie Chronicles 2 and 3. Yes, the only good thing about... So Valkyrie Chronicles 2, as you say, has DLC. I didn't see that in the store, actually. That might have been delisted. Maybe not. I might check. Some of the stuff's really hard to find. Valkyrie Chronicles 3 does have DLC. However, and I already have this, there is a complete edition called Valkyrie Chronicles 3, like Ed 2 edition from Japan, so you can get all the DLC included in it, and I recommend... In fact, let me just grab it just so I can confirm what it's called. Yeah, it's called Valkyrie Chronicles 3 E2 Extra Edition. So especially Valkyrie Chronicles 3 E2. This is a get this version if you want to get Valkyrie Chronicles 3. Admittedly, it's Japanese only, but this version includes all the DLC. It's called Valkyrie Chronicles 3 Unrecorded Chronicles. So Valkyrie Chronicles 3 E2. Grab that version if you want a version of Valkyrie Chronicles 3. On PSP.
got no reception. There's nobody here.
Should we take the escalator? Go the other way. What?
Got a bad feeling that they're waiting for us ahead.
No time to relax just yet.
Get out of our way! Looks like they're waiting for us up ahead. There's too many!
It's too dangerous for us to try and power our way through. We'll try to find a way around.
This is the only way out. Let's head to the next car.
It's blocked.
I guess you haven't quite lost your touch.
Got to concentrate a little harder.
Increasing wars and famines, diseases of unknown origin, increasingly frequent natural disasters. Don't you find it odd, a bit coincidental? Has anyone even noticed? Must we simply sit and wait for it all to end?
Where'd everyone go?
Let's just hope they all manage to evacuate.
Hope. So you really think there's still hope?
Yeah, there's no turning back now.
Looks like we can get out here.
Okay, just taking a moment off mic there just for a bit of quick and slight recuperation as well while I was concentrating. So, have you played Motorstorm Arctic Edge for the PSP? There's free DLC for Arctic Edge, I should note. I haven't actually, sorry, I've downloaded it. I haven't played the PSP version. I have the PlayStation 2 version of Arctic Edge, which I quite enjoyed. Oddly enough, the PlayStation 2 version, in fact, I've got it here, has an orange case, as I recall. But yes, I have the... Yeah, you need to base in order to get the ranking, max ranking in this. I think it's like not lose a life and basically shoot everything in the head perfectly, so you get like max perfect scores. I've done it on a few of the stages, but not all. I think the best I've done is about 3 and 4. I spent quite a bit of time practicing at this one, but you really struggle a lot because they haven't designed this one at all well, which is probably my biggest gripe. House of the Dead 4 is very broken in comparison to House of the Dead 1, 2 and 3. It's clearly designed to be unfair. Yeah, Valkyrie Chronicles 3 was very good. Valkyrie Chronicles 2 was a bit of a letdown because partly this weird school story as well, so... Yeah, any EA game I'd be very wary of. They've likely pulled the DLC. You might find it still out on 360 though, but EA have been quite bad for pulling a lot of their DLC on games, so... Right, let's get back to some shooting then. See how far I can get. I think I've got 2... So that's 4, 5. I think there's one more stage after this.
Watch out!
Let's go up that way.
Looks like you can go up.
Don't you ever give up? Get out of my way!
Temper this, buddy. You should be able to see the city up ahead.
This is it.
Oh my god.
No, I scanned. Oh my. No. I guess you haven't quite lost your touch.
Got to concentrate a little harder.
At some point in time, humans broke the natural harmony of the world. They came to know greed like no other species. They gave no thought to what their rampant breeding would do to the world.
Kate, don't give up hope.
To my dear AMS agents, everything's set.
I knew you were behind this. There's something else we must do. I think I have an idea where to start. Let's go. What the heck is Goldman up to?
Okay, so yes, the villain from the second game, Goldman, is back. Well, at least in a figure of speeching everything he sort of planned. Yeah, there's actually a lot of games with free DLC. I think I have all the Folklore DLC, but you reminded me I should check if I have picked it up or not. I've been going through looking at what it's worth. Basically, if there's any games you ever fancy picking up at some point in the future, I'd recommend checking if there's free DLC, and if there is, just download it, because as long as you've downloaded it and it's in your download list, you'll be able to get it back. And it's weird, they could just leave the store up and leave all the free DLC, but they're not, they're yanking it all. There are a few DLCs that are actually, items that are actually broken in the store that you can't buy at all. Quite a few games had their online passes yanked, so that prohibits you accessing some of the DLC. But yes, Second Valkyrie Chronicles was the only one to advance the story forward, as that was set after the war. All the others are set during the massive war conflict. Although I don't think the second one advanced the story forward in the way they really wanted to do it, but yeah. But I do highly recommend Valkyrie Chronicles 1 on the PS3 does a DLC as well. But there's a lot, Erica. I'm not going to go mentioning them, but most games have a lot of DLC, usually of 1 or 2, 3 DLCs. The one I do suggest you grab is Leia, because Leia, and I actually need to grab it myself, the patches for Leia, one to use 6-axis controls and the one to use the bonus dragons, was 3 DLC, and once they are gone, you will only be able to control Leia via 6-axis controls. And I highly recommend, if you like basically Rogue Squadron, Leia is actually a pretty good game once you use if you take out the 6-axis controls. I actually quite enjoyed Leia, so I would recommend grabbing Leia and getting the DLC while it's still available, because once it's gone, and you won't then be able to patch out the 6-axis control. So that's a guaranteed one. I suggest everyone gets the DLC for. Thank you for the likes, everyone. Great to see everyone on stream so far. We're currently playing through House of the Dead 4. I think most of the EA games have now have had the online passes removed, so you could get the online stuff for free. But whether it's, yeah, do get basically the Lair free DLC was basically patches. So that's probably the one game you do want to grab the 3 DLC for. So let's get back to the game. We're running out of time, yes. So basically the scoring system on this works as a weird combo system, so as long as you keep this one actually, they're the guys from the third game. This one actually breaks the zombie rule. In the original game, you can pretty much shoot every single zombie in the game, including the background zombies. In this one, you can't. So I can't shoot them. That's actually a bit of a faux pas on the designers of this one. Basically the score multiplier works, and this is why it's so, you basically have to get continuous. Okay, Night Nyko, thanks for joining the stream. I'll see you next week if you're on. I'll be doing more PS3 stuff. I might do Rain next week, although I'll probably do a video of it first, like the starting chapters, and then do like a playthrough.
The email I just received confirmed it for me. It's where everything started. Goldman building.
we're being invited in.
What? Come, you must prove yourself in a test of strength. This was Goldman's parting wish. Get out of my way!
Looks like you're the one who failed the test. James!
Don't worry about me. It's an old one.
I guess you haven't quite lost your touch.
I've got to concentrate a little harder.
Earth is evolved in a way so that it naturally regulates the population of any given species. Humans were once subject to this system, regardless of whether or not they knew it. Pandora's box is opening.
Is that all you have to say, Goldman?
Let's go!
I guess I'll just take another quick break. Before I jump in, I can't remember if this. I think that was just the early section. I don't think this section was sort of historical section. I can't quite remember whether it's just a quick replay of. Then we've got the final boss, and then once we've done House of the Dead 4, I'll be jumping into House of the Dead 4 Special, which I believe unlocks after this. I've already unlocked it on my main account, but this is not my main account. This is my randomized gaming one. I'll have to re-unlock it, which should be right at the end of this video.
James, are you sure you're alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just remembered something. It all started back in the year 2000. Let's go. We must finish this once and for all.
Looks like this place has been sealed off for a while.
So I think a few of these zombies have literally been brought back from House of the Dead 2. I don't like the scoring system. It basically means you've got to get constant headshots on the enemies, which is just not great.
Think he needs to hire a new decorator.
Ah, I just missed the extra life there.
Goldman's office is above here. Let's go.
We did it!
Goldman. First off, I just want to congratulate you. Do not worry. It was not my wish to destroy the world with nuclear missiles. I do not wish to kill all humans. I merely wish to revert them to their natural state. However, Pandora's box has been opened. There's nothing I can do to stop it.
What?
If you were able to make it this far, there is yet still hope.
Here we go at the final boss of House of the Dead 4. So we had the, I think it was the Emperor last time.
James, that's...
Wait. Let's go.
This is the world.
Kate, this is it. Give it all you got.
I suppose it does a bit remind you of Dural, has a very similar look in some aspects.
What? He won't stop throwing!
Can't beat him. We must close Pandora's box now or never.
James! What are you...
This is our last hope. This will stop it. Kate, don't give up hope.
James! James. What should I do?
I must admit, the character models in this aren't, although the actual zombie's pretty good, the human characters don't look that great. And Kate and James almost look like they're drunk the way they walk and stagger. They obviously weren't mo-capped properly. They look very unnatural. Yes, we've intro similar. So both House of the Dead 3, most of the House of the Dead have different endings depending on what your score is and how many credits you used, etc. I don't think I'll get a great ending. Usually the bad endings are actually a bit harder to unlock than you initially expect.
Ah yes, there is one thing I forgot. The human race has not been eliminated. Travel north. Hope is such a splendid thing.
The story continues in House of the Dead 3. Yes, it doesn't quite link properly. Oh, we actually got A on the last stage. Master.
Right. Looks like I've still got it.
And this should unlock House of the Dead Special. I saved bated breath, I can't remember. House of the Dead 4 SP has been unlocked, yes. Extra content has been unlocked. So House of the Dead SP was basically, for SP, is a separate game to House of the Dead 4, but it uses the same engine. And what it is, it's a continuation of the story after James and Kate defeat the world. But it was actually done as an attraction ride, and I was actually watching a video of it. There weren't many cabinets of it because it was a full-on attraction with a rotating seat. So it was designed as, and literally I saw a list of the House of the Dead wiki, only had 3 known locations and 2 of them are no longer available. But basically you actually had a front and a back screen, because you'll see at certain points you spin round, and basically the carriage you're sitting in would spin round to face the enemy. So it's quite a nifty idea actually. But because of that, it was designed more as a theme park ride. There aren't many cabinets for it at all. In fact, as far as I'm aware, there's only, like I said, there looks like there's only about 2, 3 or 4 cabinets. But let's jump in and actually give it a whirl. So this is the final chapter. I should say, story-wise, House of the Dead House of the Dead's a bit weird because 3 was clearly planned as the final game. 4 and Scarlet Dawn, which is effectively House of the Dead 5, although apparently the original House of the Dead 5 got cancelled. probably because House of the Dead 4 didn't do that well. Because, as I said, as you saw there, I lost an awful lot of lives. Because the way the machine gun and the scoring system work in this is blooming awful. You have to get constant headshots. And you get loads and loads of enemies coming at you. And you've got to know which ones to shoot in the order. And they pumped up the difficulty no end, which I feel was a discredit to the game. You just cannot avoid taking hits in this. I've seen a few kind of people doing no death runs, but I guarantee you they're save stating or cheating unless they've literally spent a year practicing this game and know every single shot, where to position the gun, etc. Yeah, Sega did, Ariko, they did release quite a few of them for the Wii. You can get to, I haven't mentioned, but you can get House of the Dead 2 and 3 on the Wii, but this, the one we've shown looks much nicer. Ports on physical, on disc, yeah, it probably was. There's not a lot of the ports on this one weren't on disc. Most of these were digital only. The plus side with this one is you can practice on any chapter. So basically, when you see the camera spin 360 in this, that would be in the arcade or in the amusement ride when the carriage would spin 360 as well. So this has only got 2 stages. It reuses the Justice boss, and then you actually they have a new fight, but it's a reused boss from the original House of Dead, and the second game as Magician comes back. And G is the other player character. He's the backup who arrives somewhat late.
The year is 2003. Losing contact with her partner James, Kate is left to wander aimlessly.
These guys really don't know when to quit. They just keep coming.
Reload! Kate, behind you! Hey, I'm not into that.
It's been a while, Kate. Listen, the battle isn't over yet.
I know, G. I promise I'd continue to fight, as long as there is still hope.
You've got to take them down at the source. Come on.
G, above you!
Keep moving.
Is this the way? Let's go. Where the heck are they coming from? time to rest.
Let's take that car.
I'm not too sure about this. Hang on tight. Hold on to something.
Glad you're shooting better than driving.
Don't mess with me when I'm behind the wheel. No time to rest.
Behind us. In front.
You shouldn't underestimate me.
Shoot it. Turn right here. He's just ahead.
That last blast must have knocked out the lights. I can't see anything.
No telling what's waiting for us ahead.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier on the stream, I'm not a big fan of House of the Dead Overkill, but you're right, it did get a physical release. I do have a copy, and maybe one day I might actually look at it.
This isn't going to be easy.
Let's just get out of here. His tongue was his weakness. I don't think he's going to give up that easily. Keep your guard. There's persistence, and then there's just plain ignoring it.
So he's actually been weakened for the second fight in the House of the Dead SP.
And good riddance.
Jambo Safari. I'm not sure I've actually played that one. I'll have to check. Yeah, we've got most of the others. I mean, I should say, you've got Gunblade, yep.
To learn from you.
All right. Looks like I've still got it.
Yeah, they've made the difficulty a bit more leniency and
What's down this way?
We don't have much time. We have to stop it.
Intruder alert. Intruder alert.
there are quite a few other arcade games as well on Wii, but I think you've got most of the gun ones there.
Give it a rest.
What is this place? What are they making here?
Go of me. lives yet. He'll come back to life in a second. Watch out! Shoot! We didn't make it!
Welcome, my AMS friends.
Not you again.
I have been waiting for this moment for some time. Now you shall have a taste of the pain that I have endured.
Kate, you ready to do this?
I'm ready. I promised James that I wouldn't give up, that I'd keep fighting.
This is the end.
What's he trying to do?
Kate, this is our only chance. We have to take him while he's weak. We've only got one shot at him. Aim fast and...
Oh well. That's the bad ending.
Who's next?
I think I should have shot the cube actually, but never mind. Bad end. Oh well, though. I won't spoil the good ending.
I think I did better than Logan.
I think I did better than Logan. Oh, I think I did better than Rogan. They've misspelt Rogan's name there. That should be Rogan, not Logan. Okay, so hard and very hard to have been added to the difficulty settings. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to wrap that up here. So, as I've shown, you get quite... I mean, both games are really nice packages and I highly recommend them. It is, as I said, they are going on July the 2nd, so I do recommend you pick them up. If you want decent Move games and games, they work with and without the Move. You can use the normal joypad, but they're great fun to play with the Move. I do highly recommend both ports, especially if you've got a second move controller as well. Great fun with 2-player. I mean, the move's not ideal. It does have a slight delay with the controls. It's not like a true light gun, which is one of my big gripes when they introduce these types of controllers. They're just not as accurate because you're effectively moving a pointer around, which is quite a bit slower than actually aiming. Overkill was designed as a home game, not as a... So it won't getting a release. But yeah, if you've got haven't, I mean, I've picked these up. I'll be honest, I picked both these up when they released way back in 2012 because they were like, yeah, these are on the move, right? I bought them straight away. So I've had these are two like some of the longest digital games I've had because I bought them when they came out because they were, as soon as they came out, they were literally like, yeah, I want these. These are games I want to play on the PS3. I do highly recommend them, as with the Mad Dog McCree games, which we showed last night, and I'll show you, well, the other Tuesday, I should say, not last night. They are also, again, if you want another shooter, there's also Dead Space Extraction, and that's the only HD version. It is on Wii, but again, the Wii version doesn't look as good as the PS3 version. Same with House of the Dead 3, although House of the Dead 3 is on Xbox and Wii, it doesn't look a patch on this version. So this is the definitive version of all those games. I mean, the Mad Dog games as well, I'd say this is the definitive. These are all the definitive versions, and they're all going. So while you can get Mad Dog on the Wii, it doesn't look as good as this. So because they've definitely cleaned up the print a bit more, because they've also got more space as well to actually store it. So I would highly recommend. I do recommend all these games I've been showing this week. I will show more PS3 games next week. I'll cover a whole lot. We will be doing videos as well. I will get some videos out on the channel as well next week as well. I've got a lot of... Oh, was it included on disc on Dead Space 2 on the PS3? Okay. Okay, I'll let one of the team guys know that, actually, because I think he might be interested to know that. I thought it was digital only, but I didn't realise it was on... was it actually included on disc? Because initially I didn't know it was, if it was included on disc. So you can get a retail version of Dead Space Extraction. That's interesting to know, if you can, because I thought it was originally a download on Dead Space 2 that you had got as a download code. I'll check that out. Thank you for that tip, Arika. So that's it. As I mentioned before, these games are being delisted come July the 2nd. So if you are interested in buying them, do buy them now. I do highly recommend them. Literally, yeah, the Dark Side Chronicles, also nice on PS3. Yeah, we've got them as well. I might showcase them. We have previously shown them on the channel, but I might show them off. Although I'm not... I would say the Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles aren't as good as House of the Dead 4 and 3. Dark Side Chronicles... Dark Side Chronicles did get a retail release as well, but it only got a retail release in Japan. So if you do miss out on the Dark Side Chronicles, at least you have a retail option of getting the Japanese version, although that means you'll miss out on a bit of the story. But other than that, it is available in Japan. House of the Dead 4 and 3 are not... like a Dead Space 2 limited edition, yes. I vaguely remember it coming with Dead Space 2 on PS3, but I didn't realise it was on disc, so that's handy for that tip. I'm just trying to think if there's any other PS3 light gun titles. There are a couple. I think I've covered them all. I think we've covered most of them. I may do a few more over the next week because these are good fun to play. But thank you for chatting. I'm now going to break for a week, break for the weekend, I should say, and I'll be back next week. We'll be looking at more PS3 exclusive digital download, and I'll be looking at some of the PSP ones as well, because we should be, if you want to buy these games, do pick them up now before the servers shut and these games are no longer made available. But that is it from me tonight and for this week. I've been your host for this randomised gaming video, Random Game Riven. I hope you enjoyed this look and playthrough of House of the Dead 3 and 4 and House of the Dead 4 Special. If you want to see more, by all means do head to the channel. We do have videos of all these games already on the channel. I do need to do full playthroughs as well, but if you fancy a gander, they are already out on the channel. They are, I mean, they're great games if you enjoy this type of the genre. I do highly recommend them, and they are, as said, they're going. We don't know if they'll be coming back unless Sega maybe do a port. The only thing I might say, if these do well enough, maybe Sega might do a collection, because I know lots of people have apparently been buying stuff on the PlayStation Network store, so Sega might suddenly say, oh hey, we made loads of money on these games. Maybe we might actually issue a collection on PS4. But that's it from me. Yes, nice and good night, Arika. I have been your host for this randomised gaming stream, Random Gamer Riven, and I wish you a good night, a good evening, good morning, or a good afternoon wherever you are in the world. I will be back next week to stream again, looking at more PlayStation 3 exclusive digital games that will be going come the PSN store shut down on the 2nd of July. So if you do want these games, buy them now. Don't wait either. Buy them now. The store can be a bit hit and miss. If you're buying games on the 2nd of July, that's just going to be a nightmare, because I expect the store will just break horribly on those last few days. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.